Ladies and gentlemen, Minnesota Vikings wide receiving immortality, Adam Thielen has joined us here. AT19. What's going on, brother?
What's up?
Good to see you, man. Welcome to Scheels and the Toys for Tots. It's Toys for Tots, those in need, specifically teens during the holiday season. It's been very bountiful. The Marine Corps has done a wonderful, wonderful job with it. Likewise for your football team, KFAN, the radio station, Scheels and everything. But we started the show offering up something called Takes for Tots, where we will share some Elite Football Mind takes so the Tots can take them to the schoolyard or classroom or lunchroom and be the most elite football minds within their covenant. So now a sleep removed from yesterday's game. And here we are doing good work for kids and stuff like that. Anything hit you that that's different from what the Adam Thielen I saw in uniform yesterday? Where are you required to do interviews after games? Is that like part of the bit, or do you just be like, yeah, Sam, I got you?
That's a good question. I should find that out.
Right. Well, like Dalvin did one, and I watched Jordan Hicks, and then you got Kevin O'Connell and Cousins. They sit down and they do it every single week. But Kendricks did one too. But I don't know if you were required to do this or if it's just the Minnesota Nice and the Detroit Lakes kid. You had your uniform on, and it basically was like, all right, questions. And then I'm like, all right, Adam wants to get out here, man. You did a short little Q&A, but from that moment to where we are now, what did you think about yesterday, man? And physically, how are you?
Yeah, it's anytime you have a loss, it's tough. You just you start looking at the game, you start looking at things you could have done better, you start looking at situations in the game, offense, defense, special teams. You're like, man, this. So it's very easy to be analytical after a loss, right? And those things may be those certain situations that you think about after a loss, you might not even think about after a win, right? Yeah. So I think it's tough. You wake up in the middle of the night and you start thinking about certain plays and things that could have changed the game. But this game is why it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, team game there is, because there's so much that goes into it, right? There's momentum. There's certain situations that if it goes this way over that way, how it changes the game. So you kind of look back to those moments, those kind of momentum changing moments, and you're like, man, if we would have done this, what would have the game been like? So obviously tough to have a loss, but there's a lot of good things, we can learn from. And move on to next week. The good thing is we have 10 wins and another opportunity next week to punch our ticket into the playoffs, which is our first goal.
Now, when Adam Thielen was little Adam Thielen, like a tot, thinking about toys at Christmas and stuff like that up Detroit Lakes way. I mean, we got basketball in the mix, we got golf in the mix, football, probably all sports with you, man. But like, if there were to be toys, or there were to be things that you would like to play with, and how many siblings do you have?
I have 2 older sisters.
Yeah, you got. I've met one older sister, maybe both. So therefore, you're the youngest of those 3, which means you grew up playing Barbies.
I did.
You're the one that built the Barbie house?
Hate to say this, but I did get play dress up quite a bit. I think my sisters fooled me into being in the dress up game. So it's a little different having. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully there's
Makeup?
more pictures. I don't think it got that far, but that was a long time ago, and I've had a lot of hits to the head since then. So, but I don't think there was makeup involved, and hopefully my sisters stay quiet and don't say anything. But.
The Minnesota Vikings have informed me, yes, all players are required to talk after games. Talk to the media, that is. So that when you were kind enough in the uniform, and I watched it, and it was like, all right, questions. All right, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean. Adam's body's probably sore, and it's if they ask to chat with you about the game, and that's just how the situation is going to work, then you acquiesced very nicely yesterday. When we return, we're going to discuss several things with Adam, including yesterday's game, the season in whole, and also some things he's doing with Caribou Coffee. The 10-3 Minnesota Vikings have a Saturday game. It's an aggressive Saturday game. In fact, we have back-to-back Saturday games at noon. noon. The Indianapolis Colts are in town this weekend. A Minnesota Vikings victory clinches the division and gives the team a home playoff game, just the second one in the history of U.S. Bank Stadium. Adam Thielen, indeed, is our guest here at Scheels in Eden Prairie. Before we get into that, what are you doing with Caribou today out Egan Way, I think at about 11 o'clock? Are you going to be a barista?
Well, if anybody knows me, they know I love coffee. So, and I love whipping up some coffee. So, I'm going to be a guest barista at the Egan location, Caribou.
Wow.
The location that I stop at before every game.
You're going to be serving coffee.
I'm going to be serving coffee.
What are you going to do if somebody's like, I want this macchiato with this soy and this half calf? How are you going to do it?
Well, I only make one drink, so it's a special concoction, so that's what they're going to get.
Well, yeah, but that's great. This is fantastic because a lot of it benefits the Thielen Foundation. But, I mean, like, say I own Caribou, and I'm like, all right, well, let me guess. When you play football games, you only run one route. So,
that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Expand the route tree of coffee. Absolutely.
But some of the drinks, man, I mean, it's like a 10-minute production trying to get that whole thing. First of all, it's 3 minutes to spit it out. The play's 3 minutes to spit out, and then it's 7 minutes to run when it comes to making it. So I understand.
Well, there's certain guys that only do certain things, right?
Yeah.
There's certain receivers that are a gadget guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of like the gadget guy of coffee.
Yeah, and I see you on the. Because Adam and I ride the same bus to the stadium from the team hotel, and he'll sit a few rows in front of me, and I see a very gracious and gratuitous and kind Adam bring in a thing of coffee that'll have like 2 or 3 of them, and one of them will be for Spearfish Sammy, who you sit next to and have for years on that bus, Sam Newton with Vikings Public Relations. Now, Sam, you see, we've had to hold this bus up 2 or 3 minutes to get to a stadium simply because of Sam's drinks. It's the macchiato, latte, soy, with goat milk and half calf, and the patience you have in waiting for these aggressive, weird drinks that Sam has. We graciously and willingly just wait for you for that bus because we know it's going to take about 2 minutes, man.
Yeah, Sam's got a different taste in coffee than I do. He likes all the sugar and all the, you got to have some the stuff on top, the whipped cream and all that. So
the sprinkles,
yeah,
and
sprinkles,
the half calf and the goat milk.
I get like a paragraph text to say his order. So.
Right. Now, Caribou is has a Vikings-related offer on game days, I believe, and that's part of the Thielen Foundation also. By the way, the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the Minnesota Vikings is right next to me, Adam Thielen. It was a week ago today that he and his wife, Caitlin, were at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, and I emceed a deal with the Thielen Foundation and the general manager and the head coach and stuff like that. And hey, right here, man, and publicly, that's a very, very, very cool honor and very worthy. And it was just a lot of fun last week to take part in that. But part of that is with the Thielen Foundation, which through Adam and Caitlin and their family have generated millions of dollars for those in need, including in 2022, over $1 million, which was their goal. Thielen Foundation, that's the key. Caribou's offering Vikings-related drinks on game days. What's that about?
Yeah, I think if you're a Caribou Perks member, on game day, you get a free coffee courtesy of the Thielen Foundation. So
all you got to do is text PERKS, the number PERKS, to 762 Caribou.
Yeah.
Skull Vikings fans. You mentioned the Thielen Foundation, and I guess ultimately you strike me as a guy that's not doing these things for the honor of being a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. And I had a fan come up and he's like, Nordo, you got to talk to Thielen about the charity softball game. It's the most amazing thing I've ever been to. He absolutely loved it. And so just over your tenure with the Vikings, how do these opportunities arise, or what are the types of conversations that go into doing these sorts of events and ultimately finding different pathways to raising money for our community?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that kind of go into it. Is we want it to be a very interactive event. We want the fans to be very up close and personal with the players, to be a little bit different than a game day or training camp when we're busy, we're working. And so, the softball event was that opportunity to have for the players to want to come do it because it's a fun event. Guys were talking about it in OTAs for weeks, just how much fun they had playing softball, competing against offense versus defense. And then just for fans to be able to be up close and personal. I mean, guys are interacting. We're not stressed out, with a game or practice. Guys are fighting for their livelihoods. This is a little bit different situation. So I think it's a cool event and opportunity just to kind of guys to be themselves, to just be able to interact and have fun, just being around a bunch of Vikings fans. Because at the end of the day, it's all Vikings fans there and people that are there to just see the team. So
and who knew Andrew DePaula was like the combination of John Kruk and Ken Griffey Jr. Just an absolute ringer and a masher.
If you want a synopsis about DePaula, and Kirk will give a great one talking about how good he is. So
at softball,
unbelievable. Best beer league softball player of all time.
That's awesome.
So he has a great second career ahead of him.
Right. And maybe Andrew will get to the Pro Bowl where he has an opportunity. And the Vikings have been working on that via social media. So best of luck to a man, the coordinator for his group, Matt Daniels, calls Sir Poe. Do you believe when the full complement's there, Darisaw, Bradbury in the middle, over to O'Neal, you got Hawkinson now a month and change into it, you, JJ, the whole thing, Kirk, Dalvin, Madison, CJ. Do you feel you guys have a high-end offense? Would you describe it as a high-end offense? Because I would.
Yeah, 100%. I think we have a lot of confidence in our room, for sure.
Yeah, that's all I needed to hear for the purpose of this. Because do high-end offenses invite blitzes? Because Detroit brought extra guy or guys a lot. You guys knew it was coming. I heard it 1,000 times last week. 77 or 7th most blitzing team in the NFL, quarterback passer rating against their blitz, 66, which is 10 points higher than the whole thing. But high-end offenses over the course of time, game after game after game after game after game, they invite blitzes, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's also times where a team sees something on film. So if a team in the past, maybe the past 4 games, or maybe even past that, has gotten to you a certain type of way, maybe it's a corner blitz, or maybe it's a certain type of inside twist blitz, I don't know. If there's something that has gotten you before, you're going to see it again.
Right.
And so I think it's a copycat league. They want to find a way to hit you at your hit you in your weaknesses. So I think they got us a couple times on things that have maybe gotten us in the past. But for the most part, you want them to blitz because at the end of the day, that is less people in coverage.
Yeah.
And it allows you to kind of basically have one-on-one coverage and get the ball out. And I think we were able to do that a lot yesterday. Not enough to win the game, but yeah, I think you invite that and you want it, especially as a receiver, to be able to just have one-on-one coverage and go to work.
Well, the long Jefferson play to the left and Dalvin Cook picking up the blitz, I believe, on Alex Anzalone, well, that paved the way on that play. So, I mean, if they come and you get ABC and you get all of their guys, well, that's when defenses get in trouble, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's where they've done a good job on defense is they just keep them coming. And if you just pick it up once, that's great. But they're saying we're just going to keep it coming, and eventually you're not going to pick it up, and it creates big plays for them. So they got us a few times on those corner blitzes, things that we were trying to move the ball down the field and couldn't do that because of a corner blitz. But it's something that we have to continue to focus on because, again, it creates opportunities for us when we can pick it up.
Adam, were you ever a long-distance runner? Like at any point, maybe like a 10K or do anything like that at all?
Never. I cannot run past about, I think my max would be about 100 yards.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking is because you do pre-snap motion so many times a game. You must run 10 miles over the course of a game with this offense. Whether it's window dressing or it's setting something up, with this offense as it's evolved and just kind of how KOC can do so many different things out of this offense, that's kind of when you talk about a dangerous or a high-end or a dynamic offense. But you got to be tired at the end of these games, just running motion every single pre-snap.
Yeah, I had to do a little extra conditioning in this training camp, knowing that I was going to be moving on every play pretty much. But I feel like I can run sprints or run those quick bursts all day because of that. But long distance, actually just running and running and running, I don't think I can do. But the quick bursts, I'm good.
This 2022 Minnesota Vikings team, and this includes the new coaching staff and the new regime and some things that have been established. It's 10-3, we know that. But I'm not speaking for the team, but I guess I kind of am because I'm around it enough to just say it's a very tight group. This is a very, very tight group, and it's not like previous groups weren't tight. This is just different because the leadership is different. So, therefore, like when facets of the defense are having some problems, you're a team leader. Is it inherent upon the career you've had, your natural leadership skills because of what you've done during your career, to encourage others, maybe even if they play defense, that, hey, we got 4 left, we're going to be in the playoffs, let's just everybody calm down, and things are going to get better. Is that something you do?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's more not coming to them with ideas or maybe even not necessarily encouragement. It's more just communication. Like, hey, what did you see? Being able to talk to guys on the plane on the way back, some of the defensive leaders, just to be able to have communication with them. Hey, what did you see? Like, well, what was going on? And then kind of talking from our side of the ball, saying, okay, well, we get the ball to the 10-yard line and we fumble. We have a 3rd and 1 in the second half, which is big momentum, and I didn't get my depth to be able to get that first down. So there's just little things like that helps the defense. So it is, again, I go back to this a lot. It's the greatest team game there is because just because the defense gave up a lot of yards, there's probably reasons why that happened more than just them not performing well. The offense is a big part of that.
Yeah.
Being able to sustain drives, be able to score points, to take some pressure off them.
Yep.
So it is a great team game. Special teams being able to flip the field, and we have a fake punt, and they went 3 and out. I believe it was going to be a 3 and out, and they run the fake punt and get the first down. So there's things like that are hidden as far as when you look at the stats.
Well, I mean, and because in fairness, and you're smart. I mean, you're good, but you're smart. So and you care. So therefore, if you take a deep breath and think about the totality of your 10 years here, that you have been on teams where the defense has been better than the offense. And the conversation was, my God, can we get this offense going? Can we throw down the field? This quarterback, that quarterback.
Score 21 and you win every game.
Stuff like that. So you've seen the other side where the defense has carried the offense. And right now, quite honestly, facets of the offense are carrying the Minnesota Vikings defense. Adam made a very good point, too, because those 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 play drives, I mean, that gives the defense a chance to catch its breath and then do what it does. And that factors into the ultimate team facet of this game. But again, back to my perception, being extended family member of how tight you guys are, is that no chance frustration boils over offense, defense, whatever with this team. 0 chance.
Yeah, I don't feel that. I haven't felt that all year.
Right.
Obviously, winning helps, but even those games that were tough losses, we haven't really had a close game lost necessarily, or a game that we felt like we should have won and lost as far as how the game went. So when we have those tough losses, those are usually the ones that guys start pointing fingers. They start saying, well, I should have been had this opportunity or more opportunity or this, and it just kind of gets a little bit, it's just natural a little bit, but we haven't had that. So very thankful for the leadership, the coaching staff, the players that are in that locker room. It's just something I've never been around. So I think we also kind of feel a little bit of like, man, this is something special. We got to make this happen.
Yeah.
This is our opportunity. I think the guys that have been around a long time realize that this doesn't happen very often. The people that are in that room, the playmakers that are in our locker room on offense, defense, special teams. It's just an opportunity that we don't want to miss. So,
but how conflict is handled too when things are bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's completely different. You started with Leslie Frazier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So from Leslie through where we are now, you've seen so much, so up and down, and somebody screaming at somebody and somebody hugging somebody when they're crying. I mean, you've just seen the whole thing, and the way Kevin and this staff handle conflict or when things are going poorly, it's just, from what I understand, different than at least from what I've seen, and that would be 5%. You'd know the full 100. than maybe anything you've seen over 10 years, right?
Yeah, I think what they do really well is there's an accountability factor,
Right.
but there's also that kind of tough love. Like they expect the most out of you. Our standard's very high, but at the end of the day, they want to have conversation. They want to talk to you through it. They want to help you become a better player. They want to help you become a better offense, defense, special teams. So it has been great. It definitely sets you up as a team to handle failure or handle some tough times. And I think that's a big reason why we are where we are at. But I think there's just a little bit of not necessarily pressure, but a little bit of
Anxiety?
not anxiety, but just
What?
just something to I guess what's the word I'm looking for? There's just a little bit of motivation to say we got to do this now.
Yeah.
Like, well, let's not wait.
Oh.
So that's what there was a little frustration
Yeah.
as a team why we didn't get it done yesterday, because we had a golden opportunity to
Yeah.
punch a ticket into the playoffs.
Well,
so it's kind of a
it's the be your best when you're required
Yeah.
bit that Kevin O'Connell says, right?
yeah, and it's there's just not we'll get them next week.
Right.
There's just not that mindset in our locker room. So I think it's a good thing to have. There's just a lot of accountability to say we're not going to just be like, oh, let's move on to the next one. We'll get it next week. Like, that's not our mindset. So it's good to have that. I feel like in the past maybe there was a little bit of that. Like, oh, it's all right. Like we have a chance next week. But there's just that kind of that urgency is the word I'm looking for to let's get this done. We have an opportunity. Let's get it done. So I think guys are excited to get back to work. Grateful for another short week after a loss.
Last one, go ahead.
Well, I look at you as one of those leaders, by the way, and you can talk about handling situations when things are wrong, but how about handling things when they're going really well? And you think about whether it's the winning streak and just some of the great games you've had, and this offense, again, continuing to evolve with a new head coach. I've just been so impressed with some of your teammates, you included, whether it's the patience of a KJ Osborne. Just he's got to be ready all the time, right? And I think about one of your old teammates, Jarius Wright, as being another guy that had to be ready in the right spots to make plays. And then Justin Jefferson, who comes out and gets loud about, I want to be the guy people talk about. Well, right now he's doing it. And I'm looking at a guy that I don't see as his national profile just skyrockets into the moon, that this is getting to him. He's still your guy. He's still in that room and still trying to win, and it's about that team and that family you guys have created.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even you look at a game like yesterday where Justin tears it up, sets a record for most yards in a game for the Vikings history, but he's upset after the game. That doesn't always happen in the NFL. He's upset because we didn't win. It's great to have all the stats and all that. Yeah, that makes you feel a little better as an individual, but at the end of the day, when you see a guy like that cares that much about winning, that's why we have 10 wins, because of guys like that. And it's not just him; it's multiple guys. So there's so many factors that go into good teams, and the margin for error in this league is so little that you have to have that kind of stuff to take you to 10 wins. We could easily have 5 wins with the exact same players, but it's those little things that take you over the top and give you opportunities to go to the playoffs and make deep runs.
Lastly, from me, when you were up 8, and I think we had 17 and a half minutes to go in the game, and the coach down 8. Thank you. Coach opted to go for 2. Were you surprised?
Yeah, I mean, I know that again, we have so much faith and trust in these coaches and the players and everybody that's involved that we just kind of. I'm not smart enough to figure all that stuff out.
It's a math thing.
I'm just going out there and I'm trying to do my best. Plays called. I'm trying to make a play. But yeah, I mean, it just was different than maybe I had done in the past.
Yeah, ever.
I've never done that before in that situation.
And I'm cool with it.
But so my first question when I got to the sideline was that an analytics thing?
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. Let's do it.
Right.
And he expects. Coaches, all of our coaching staff, our players, we have high expectations. So we have expectations that if we go for 2, that we get it done.
Right.
So yeah.
And well, the as I said earlier in the show is I'm cool with it, man. I respect the analytics of all sports. I think the whole thing was tailor-made for Major League Baseball, for baseball, quite honestly, and now other sports are playing off of it, and a lot of things make sense, and a lot of things are what good teams will follow consistently over the years, and they believe that they will win because of it, and who am I to say they won't? So it's a math thing, no doubt. But when I read this ESPN analytics guy on why you should go for 2 every single time when you are down by 8 late in games. Okay, the whole thing was about the most boring thing I've ever read in my life. So therefore, I got halfway through it, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. This sucks. And I would prefer to read something else. But I understood the gist of it. The problem is, the common thread through the whole thing was when it is late in the game. Late, quote, late, end quote, in the game. It never was defined what late in the game was. Well, I got a problem with that, because if we're gonna tighten the bolts metaphorically on all of the analytics and the A getting to B to C to D, I need to know what late in the game means, because late in the game to me may be different than late in the game to my man over there. You see, but getting an 8 to a 6, I'm cool with that, man. But just be consistent with it, which maybe the team will. But it was a math thing for sure, man. But it didn't work, but doesn't mean it won't work next time. Congratulations on the touchdown yesterday and the partnership with Caribou. Sorry about the game. Go get Indianapolis coming up this weekend. And once again, at 11 a.m. Or shortly thereafter, Adam is going to be at the Caribou in Egan. Where's it located? Do you know?
Yeah, it's pretty much right by our practice facility.
Yep.
Just right around the corner.
I know where that. Yeah, Caribou in Egan, and he's going to be serving you coffee, and doing so for charity as part of the Thielen Foundation. So, anything else we need to get out there that I didn't hit on? I appreciate you, man.
So.
Thank you very much.
Adam Thielen. Appreciate it, guys.
1819, ladies and gentlemen. That's main man cred right there.